Trump is back. Washington, D.C., January the 20th, 2025. On this date, Donald Trump returned to power as the 47th President of the United States. In his inaugural address, he promised that the golden age of America begins now. And from this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. The 30-minute speech held indoors at the Capitol Rotunda was also full of disrespect for his predecessors and the promise of reversal of many of Biden's policies that took us out of the pandemic recession. His promises included terminating spending on the Green New Deal, referring to Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, which included spending to address climate change. He would declare a national emergency at the southern border. He stated that there would be only two genders, in a slam against trans people. He promised to bring back free speech and end government censorship, referring to what government employees stated, "Here are the things government employees will no longer allowed to say about sex, gender, and race." He promised an end to DEI policies. He stated that the U.S. would unilaterally change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. He also promised tariffs on many countries who do not toe his line on immigration and China just because. Buckle up, Americans. The wild man is back in power and it's going to be a rough ride. Here's some commentary. Trump promises to bring back an emphasis on fossil fuels and quit alternate energy programs at a time when for years we have seen an increase in the ocean's temperature due to global warming, caused in great measure due to those fossil fuels. Trillions in damages due to hurricanes, droughts, fires, and flooding can trace their cause to this same global warming that our president refuses to address for the short-term millions his finance campaign supporters will gain from profits, and to the expense of putting the lives of billions around the world at harm. The crackdown on aliens in our country will cost trillions in implementation and the loss to national industries unable to find labor for their workforce. We addressed this last month here at CP. However, facts and figures, logic and reason have no place in the current administration that have in the first 11 days of his administration began to fire many of the competent and experienced people in our government capable of actually governing and providing what American people need. He began to remove inspector generals who are responsible for preventing fraud, waste, and abuse in the government, allowing him and his cronies a blank check, taking us back to the days of the 19th and 20th century graft and corruption. He has already had to reverse some of his decisions as he realized it would greatly harm the actual functions of government that make the country go. However, he keeps filling the government with unqualified individuals whose main qualification is that they will say yes to him, regardless of how illegal, immoral, and corrupt the demand. We'll get a director of national intelligence in Tulsi Gabbard who admired the former dictator of Syria, Bashar Assad, and made other controversial comments about Ukraine and Russia. Already our allies have stated that with her in charge, they will refuse to share intelligence with us as they consider her a security risk. I'm talking about Tulsi Gabbard. We already have a Defense Department head whose administrative experience in the DoD is actually much less than my own as a former senior systems controller of the Army in Europe, working for the Deputy Chief of Staff of Operations, 5th Signal Command for 3 years. I led more men, up to 400 soldiers and 8 commissioned officers at one time in my career. Spent 20 years of active military service and was responsible for the operational outlook of billions in assets, unlike the alcoholic and misogynist Hegseth, who ran his veteran organizations into the ground. I helped to keep our communications assets in Europe going strong. As an equal opportunity NCO in 2 units, I trained others against sexual harassment and assault, while Hegseth paid settlements for those very crimes. Yet, I do not consider myself to be qualified for the Secretary of Defense. How in the world is he, as a glorified pencil pusher in public affairs? Oh yeah, I was also in public affairs as an additional duty in Okinawa. Can I be a DOD head? No, I forgot. The most important qualification in the Trump administration is fealty to Trump, not the Constitution. Then there is a slap in the face to over 140 police officers assaulted and 4 whose deaths were associated with the January 6, 2020 attack. Their 1,000 plus rioters pardoned or given commuted sentences by Trump for their crimes. How dare you? Bad enough you will not be seeing justice for inciting that insurrection against the Congress of the United States. Born in the United States of non-U.S. citizens. Don't worry. You are protected under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, as Trump found out when his executive order was blocked by a federal judge to get rid of that citizenship. Ever walked through the Capitol building? Every time I walked through those hallowed halls, I felt an almost reverence, much like I feel when walking into a church. How dare you? Again, buckle up, America. It's going to be a wild ride with tariffs aimed to score the highest inflation in the history of the United States. I'll be here for the ride with you, and we'll help you get past the propaganda of the right-wing media that has heretofore informed many of my fellow evangelicals with their misinformation and lies. I know some of you find my writing repulsive, but the truth can be hard to swallow, especially when you have either not been paying attention or getting your only news from sources known for paying millions or even billions altogether for lying. This is Larry Joe McDowell for Christian Press and Bible College Radio.